Once upon a time, in a quiet corner of a distant kingdom, there lived a bright-eyed girl named Corinne, and every night she would gaze up at the stars and ask her mother, "Why are you up there?" Her mother would just smile and say, "Not yet." One night, Corinne decided she'd had enough of waiting. She wanted to see the stars up close. So while her mother was sleeping, she put on her red shoes and ran away. As she walked, she met a beautiful princess who was dancing with a group of girls. "May I join you?" asked Corinne, and the princess said, "Of course you may. We're on our way to the Starlight Ball. Would you like to come?" Corinne had never been to a ball before. She didn't even own a fancy dress. But the princess insisted, and soon Corinne was whirling around the room, feeling like a real princess. But then suddenly, the music stopped and the doors burst open. It was Corinne's mother. "Come back here, Corinne," she cried. "You're not safe here. You'll never be safe until you find the 12 dancing princesses and put on their shoes." Corinne didn't know what her mother was talking about, but she knew she had to do something. So she took off her red shoes and ran away. One sunny morning, Corinne's mother began to cough. Her hands trembled and her cheeks lost their color. "Stay in bed," Corinne said firmly. Grabbing her basket, she hurried down the dirt path toward the village. Her slippers knocked the ground with every step. Partway there, something caught her eye, a wooden box sitting on the roadside. Curious, she set down her basket and lifted the lid. Inside lay the most beautiful shoes she had ever seen, a pair of gleaming red slippers, soft as silk and bright as fresh cherries. They seemed to almost glow in the sunlight. Corinne's breath caught. She slipped one foot inside. It fit perfectly, as if made for her. She pulled them out of the box and hugged them close, then ran home as fast as she could. "Mama, look what I found," she said, bursting through the door. "Aren't they beautiful?" "And they're just my size," her mother said. "Corinne, where did you get those?" "By the road in a box." "Maybe someone didn't want them anymore." "They may belong to someone who dropped them. You must put them back." "But if they belonged to someone, they wouldn't have left them there in a box." "Maybe they fell out of a cart." "That doesn't mean they're yours." "Listen to me, child. I cannot buy you new shoes right now, but I would rather see you barefoot than wearing something you took from another. Promise me you won't wear them." The girl in the red shoes, Corinne's smile faded. "All right, I promise." But later that night, she slid the shoes beneath her bed, hidden where her mother wouldn't see them. Weeks passed, and her mother's sickness worsened. One gray morning, Corinne came home from the market to find the bed empty. She called out, searched the house, and then stepped outside. The air felt strange, as if the world had gone still. Looking up, she saw a new star glimmering in the evening sky, bright and steady. Her heart ached. The next day, the village gathered for her mother's funeral. Corinne knelt beside her bed that morning and pulled out the red shoes. She wanted to feel something lovely on such a terrible day. She slipped them on, the soft leather cradling her feet. When she arrived at the cemetery, whispers followed her. "Red? At a funeral? Such a shame." She heard the words but ignored them. She loved the shoes. They made her feel special when everything else felt empty. As the service ended, an elderly woman walked past. Her hair was silver, her eyes kind. She paused when she saw the small orphan standing alone. "Come with me, child," she said gently. "I will care for you as best I can." Once upon a time, there was a little girl who lost her red shoes. Days later, the old woman returned with a pair of plain blue shoes. "Here, these will last." Corinne frowned. "They're ugly. I want red shoes." "Life is not about what we want every moment," the woman replied, shaking her head. Over the years, Corinne's stubbornness only grew. She pushed away meals she didn't like, refused gifts she didn't choose herself, and argued over the smallest things. One afternoon, the old woman noticed how short Corinne's dress had become. We'll go to the market and buy you new clothes and shoes. In the marketplace, Karen's eyes widened. There, in a shop window, sat a pair of sparkling red shoes, identical to the ones she had lost. Those, I must have those. You need black shoes, the woman said firmly, something respectful. We can only afford one pair. Then I'll walk barefoot forever, Karen declared, crossing her arms. The old woman, weary of the quarrel, sighed. Fine, we'll buy both. She spent her last coins on the sensible black pair and the glittering red ones. Once upon a time, there was a girl who liked to wear red shoes. One day, her mother told her to wear her black shoes to a funeral. Red shoes are too loud. People will think you're being disrespectful. The girl put on the black shoes and pulled her skirt down to cover them. But at the funeral, the hem of her skirt rose and everyone saw her red shoes. An old woman sitting nearby shook her head disapprovingly. You never listen, do you? She whispered to the girl. Just then, a handsome young lord approached them. Such beauty, he said, smiling, and such lovely shoes. You must be a splendid dancer. Would you come to the palace ball tonight? The girl, flattered, agreed. She twirled around, and suddenly she couldn't stop. Her feet moved faster and faster. What's happening? She gasped. The shoes were taking her away from the old woman and the lord. Karen, come back, they called, but she danced out of sight. Through fields and villages and up rocky hills, she danced until her feet were blistered and sore. At last, the red shoes sprang from her feet and skipped away into the trees. Karen collapsed and with the help of a stick, went home. The old woman met her at the door and hugged her. I'm sorry, Karen whispered. I'll try to be different. And from that day on, she meant it. Once upon a time, a young lord and his lady danced at a party. Weeks later, a knock came at the door. The young lord stood there. I've been searching for you, he said. You dance faster than anyone I've ever seen. How did you do it? They laughed, and that was the start of a friendship that grew into love. But peace never lasts forever. That summer, word came from the capital. The king's 12 daughters shared a strange secret. Though locked in their chamber every night, each morning their shoes were found worn to ribbons. The king declared that anyone who could uncover the truth within 3 days would choose a princess to marry and one day inherit the throne. Fail, and the dungeon awaited. Many tried and failed. The tale reached Corinne and the young lord. We should try, he said. And so they set out for the royal city. On the road, they met a frail old woman who asked for food. The young lord gave her all he had. She handed him a shimmering cloak. This will make you invisible. But beware, do not drink what the princesses give you. That night at the palace, he stood guard outside their door. The eldest came with lemonade. Forgetting the warning, he drank and fell into a deep sleep. In the morning, the shoes were ruined again. The second night, another princess brought juice. Again, he drank and again, he failed. The king's patience wore thin. One night left, he warned. On the final night, the youngest princess appeared with orange juice. This time, he only pretended to sip, pouring it away when she left. At midnight, he donned the cloak and slipped inside unseen. The eldest checked the hall. The second pressed her ear to the wall. Hearing what they thought were the guard's snores, they moved the bed aside, revealing a hidden stair. One by one, they descended. The young lord followed. The stair led to a forest of silver trees. He broke off a branch as proof. They crossed a river in swan-shaped boats rowed by silent princes, and beyond the water rose a shining castle full of music. Inside, the princesses danced without pause until dawn. The young lord even stole a golden cup while they weren't looking. When morning came, they retraced their steps, river, forest, stair, and returned to bed, pretending they had slept all night, but he had seen it all. That day, he told the king, showing him the silver branch and golden cup. The king's eyes widened. At last, the truth. he exclaimed. Keeping his word, he granted the young lord the choice of any daughter. The young man chose the youngest, whose smile held a spark of kindness. Karen stood by his side at the wedding, proud of the man she loved. And so the girl who once danced unwillingly in curse-red shoes found herself part of a story that would be told for generations. A story of courage, love, and the kind of magic that lingers long after the final words are spoken.